I'm going to tell you about the most oversold and overserviced part of the car, and you probably don't need one, but right now, because gas prices are high, everyone's trying to push one. Oh, you're going to save some fuel with this deal. And I think it irks you, John. I'm Dave Riccio here with Jon Riggle, and this is the Bumper to Bumper podcast where we're putting you in the know when it comes to your car. There's a lot of bad information out there. You know, people say, oh, I found it on the internet.
Yeah.
And, oh, I looked up in Chat GTP or GPT, and it's sometimes bad information. So we are in it every single day. You're diagnosing 30 to 50 cars a week. You're seeing a lot of this stuff. So this is right out of the horse's mouth, if you will, versus the internet. And people will look stuff up on Chat GPT, and they'll look and go, oh, yeah, you know, he did all this research. Just click on the one place where it dug the information, because it is not scouring the entire internet.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a little deeper research. But fuel economy, I know you were listening to an ad in the car. Tell me about that.
Oh, man, I was on the way home the other night. My hour-and-a-half drive on the commute on the way home, and this just soul-crushing traffic. And 5 times this ad came on the radio, and they were capitalizing on the increase in fuel prices that's driving everybody nuts. And they were talking about replacing air filters and cabin air filters even, and saying, come on in, you know, we'll check it. We'll you know, if your filter's dirty, it could be reducing the fuel mileage in your car. We'll put a clean filter in, and you'll get better gas mileage. Couldn't be farther from the truth for late model cars. The only time that statement applies is on some, and not necessarily all, older carbureted cars.
1984. Well,
Earlier than that, yeah,
Right.
I think most of the carburetors were gone by 81 or so. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, you know, everything turned to fuel injection, and there's fundamental differences in the way that carbureted cars operate and our fuel injected cars operate. With regards to this. So back in the day, yeah, restricted fuel filter could kill your gas mileage. Or air filter could kill your gas mileage. It just worked just like a choke, and we could pull fuel out of the bowl vents or out of the venturis if we had too much restriction on the upper side. That happens. That's fact. That was good. The problem I have is something we recognized years ago with the fuel injection systems. So with all of our fuel injection systems, the whole goal to control the amount of fuel going through there is we want to deliver the proper amount of fuel for the amount of air going through the engine. So we've got a couple different ways we calculate airflow, and I consider airflow relative to engine load. So I'll use the terms airflow and load, and I'll kind of use them interchangeably here. And basically, when the airflow through the engine goes up, the load goes up. If we have more load, we need to deliver more fuel, right? So that's just the way this works. So when we open that throttle, we allow atmospheric pressure into the manifold. Manifold pressure comes up, add more fuel. There's multiple ways we can figure out how much air is going through the engine. The two simplest or the two biggest ones that we use are what we call a speed density system, where we use a manifold absolute pressure sensor to measure the absolute pressure in the intake manifold. And with that system, if the higher the manifold pressure is, the more fuel we want to deliver, more injector pulse width. The other method that we use is we use a mass airflow meter in front of the intake. Well, that mass airflow meter measures the mass airflow going. If I know the air mass going through it, it's pretty easy for me to calculate a base injector pulse width that will deliver the proper amount of fuel for that. So the trick here is when we restrict the intake with a sensor, a system, a speed density system with a map sensor, when we restrict the intake, the manifold pressure decreases. When the manifold pressure decreases, we need less injector pulse width, right? So with our mass airflow system, the mass airflow sensor, if it's reading the airflow going through the motor and we restrict in front of that, all we do is reduce the airflow calculation or the airflow going through the engine, we deliver less fuel. So just logically, right off the bat, in both instances, if I restrict the intake, I deliver less fuel. I deliver an appropriate amount of fuel for the amount of air going through the engine. Even no matter what I do, if I restrict that inlet, my load, my inlet air pressure drops. Okay, and people get confused by this because everybody says, well, no, if you restrict the intake, you increase the load on the engines. No, you do exactly the opposite.
Yes.
The load drops. Now, there's suction throttling losses and things like that that come into play, but they're really insignificant for this conversation. When we restrict that air filter on a fuel-injected car, we deliver less fuel.
So you're not saving gas mileage. That's the moral of your story. Now, this is counterintuitive, and I'm going to use the term old-timers.
Oh, yeah.
Because old-timers like to argue with me.
I'm an old-timer.
Yes, but you've been around through the progression, right? But you remember the days I call a guy and say, hey, your battery in your car's bad. Starts the car, it's not bad. I know. I know. But it is actually bad. And you can decide when to replace it, or your car can decide when to replace it. I can just tell you it's got to, And so, and so I have to go through some conversation. But man, they're stuck in their ways. Like, nope, air filter's going to reduce my fuel mileage.
Yeah.
But I think that's a common misconception, and so you see people marketing to that to say, "Hey, come on in for an air filter." But I want to take that a step further because something you said. I don't know if you said they are the most over-serviced piece on the car.
Oh yeah.
Why are they most over-serviced?
Because everybody wants to sell you an air filter. Air filters are cheap. Everybody wants to, that's quick, easy money.
Easy money, right?
Well, a lot of these places will sell you air filters. And the problem with that is the way these air filters are designed and stuff, and the way the housings are. They're all plastic. They're literally all plastic now, and sometimes they can be difficult to work with, especially out here where our temperatures just cook everything under the hood. Does plastic start to get brittle and stuff like that? And I see people ham-fisted with them, breaking clips and things that. And a lot of these filters, I hate to say it, I hate to bag on aftermarket parts, but a lot of these aftermarket filters don't fit right in the housings. No. They'll actually have thicker seals and things that really put a lot of pressure on the housing to try to get the thing reassembled and stuff. It's just not worth it. They don't need to be serviced as often as people think they need to be serviced, and they definitely they don't need to be checked every 3,000 miles unless you're living in the middle of the Sahara. And we live in a plenty dusty environment here. They really don't need to be checked that often.
And I have a confession to make. We change oil here, Tri-City Transmission Auto Repair. I can pull it in the bay and change the oil. But if you've ever heard the saying, a shoemaker's kids go without shoes, I've got 60 vehicles out there, and I've got 60 commitments to customers. And the last thing I want to do is pull my car in ahead of theirs. So I feel guilty as heck when my car is in the bay. Yeah. So I literally take it down to the dealership. Okay. And I do it for a couple of reasons. I like to see how other businesses run because it gives me some contrast for my business. Sure. Yeah. So that's helpful. And they always call me up and try and sell me stuff. And some of it's reasonable. I buy some stuff from time to time. But on my air filter box, I get a big red tag. It's wired tight on the box. It says, "Don't check me." Yep. Because I don't want them I don't want them breaking my air filter box. Yeah. Because it inevitably happens. You can only put a screw in and take it out of a plastic housing with a steel screw so many times before that plastic housing is stripped out, warped, doesn't go back together right. So I just eliminate that. And the minute that box gets tweaked and you get air that bypasses that filter, you're just sucking all that dust into your motor, and that's going to do more damage than good, so leave it alone.
Yeah, and the other thing I see, too, is so a lot of these air cleaner housings, they've got a duct that goes from the air cleaner housing over the throttle body, and those, like an accordion flexible tube, those tubes will dry rot here. So every time you lift that air filter housing up or pull that duct off of that air filter housing, you risk tearing that inlet air boot, and we see it all the time.
We just did that CVT video you had diagnosed in the Bay where they thought they had a bad transmission.
Yeah.
It was a break in that inlet air boot.
Yeah.
That we call it. That's the way we refer to them. Yeah, so you don't, once a year you need an air filter. That's the way I look at it. I get one factory. I drive a 2023 Toyota Tacoma. I get one filter a year, and I put a factory one in there because I like factory filters.
Sure.
I'm just a fan. Why not?
Yeah.
And I think in the old days, people thought, well, the aftermarket stuff's cheaper, and and some of these businesses are just run for profit, not for people.
Oh yeah.
And so they want the cheapest piece of crap air filter in there. And there's literally differences in how many pleats are in air filters because the less pleats you have, the less material you have. And I could go across the board forever on everything. Not only that, condensers, radiators. People cheat how much is in there to keep the price down so that they have a better markup and it still sounds attractive to the consumer. Oh, that's reasonable.
Sure.
Well, that's because they bought a really, I say automobiles are ruined one part at a time. Yeah. So anyway, that's my air filter deal. But I think an old timer is going to take you to task. So you're telling me that changing your air filter is not going to improve your gas mileage?
Nope. You can plug that filter. You can plug that filter up to 100% plugged up. The only thing that will change, the fuel economy won't change. What will change is the power output. Okay?
Right.
So as that filter gets restricted, if it is restricted more than the throttle blade, okay? The throttle is our restriction in the intake. That's how we control the engine, is with the throttle blade, right? Okay. So that filter doesn't affect anything until the restriction across the filter is enough to overcome the restriction from the throttle blade, okay? So
which is pretty plugged up.
Yeah, it's pretty plugged up. Yeah. So all it does when it becomes plugged up is it becomes the throttle. It's what's going to limit the airflow going through that engine, okay? And yes, power, definitely affected by a restricted filter. Fuel economy, not. And where this all came from, because we knew this years ago. I always had people rolling in, oh yeah, I replaced my fuel filter and I got 10 more miles to the gallon out of it. No, you didn't. You didn't.
Nothing changed.
You did not. Nothing changed. And we'd be looking for fuel economy issues. And we'd always find something like a leaking fuel pressure regulator or something. There was always a legitimate answer for it. Yes, your fuel economy did go off. It wasn't because of your filter, right? So,
well, there is a way. I mean, if you're feeling it in the wallet, and my wallet's smoking every time I go to the gas pump, it's like, man, that really hurt. And we see it in how many cars come into our shop where the yellow gas light is on.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is go to the gas station. I just hate going. But there is a way to save gas, and it really has to do with the way you operate the car. My grandfather used to try and milk every dime out of his old truck. And so he said, you just drive like you got an egg between your foot and the pedal. And that's a good idea. That will save gas mileage, but a good way to get shot, too, if you're in the wrong part of town. Like you're taking off too slow. I mean, you got to be aware of other drivers, but if you just simply change your driving habits, you're going to pick up some miles per gallon. Way more than you're going to get from the theory of an air filter.
Clean your car out, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Get all the extra junk out of your car you don't need there. I see cars roll in here. I've seen cars roll in here where they carry around a case of water in the trunk. And it's like, well, if you're worried about gas mileage, you might want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Weight has a huge effect on fuel mileage.
Weight, how you drive it, junk in your trunk. I mean, junk in your trunk is not always good. And it's funny, like you'll be working on a Volvo or something, and you got to check the battery, and the battery's in the trunk.
Yeah.
And you got to remove. I mean, I'll go out there. You've got golf clubs out. You've got an umbrella for the backyard. You got all that stuff. You peel it out of the car. You got a basketball. You got all that stuff just to check the battery. So if you want to be nice to your technician, clean your trunk from time to time.
Yeah. And your car will get a little bit better gas mileage. It won't be much, but
well, because it's counterintuitive, I would expect some pushback on this because people are like, oh no, air filters are going to save you gas, and it's kind of like, but you're going to lose power, not gain fuel economy.
Yeah, and where this goes all the way back. Like I said, we knew it a long time ago. And what was driving me nuts was when I would go to the EPA website. I did a bunch of consulting work once upon a time for EPA. And I would look at the website and I go, they're talking about changing an air filter to improve fuel mileage. We called them out on it. We see this is incorrect. This is wrong. And they stepped up to the plate and they did a small study and they went, oh yeah, no, it has no effect. And they even tested some old carbureted cars. And they were like, yeah, okay, the carbureted cars maybe, but it was minimal. The car ran so bad by the time it really made an effect on it that you would stop driving the car long before it ever got that restricted. And they actually published a little piece on it. It used to be on their website. I don't know. The EPA's been gutted lately, so I have no idea what's there anymore. But yeah, that's just basic automotive technology. That's been there forever.
So chances are you probably don't need an air filter after hearing all this. You need one once a year. Don't be oversold because everyone wants to sell you an air filter. One a year. Put a factory air filter in there when you can. There's some good aftermarket ones as well. I'm not complaining about all of them, but for me, might as well buy the factory one. John and Dave, Bumper to Bumper Podcast. We'll see you next time. Well, hello. I'm Dave Riccio, your host of the Bumper to Bumper Podcast. And I would like to thank you for tuning in. If you want one of your car questions to be answered on our podcast, tap the link in the description for a chance to have your question featured. And while you are there, we would love for you to like and subscribe to see more Bumper to Bumper podcasts in the future.